Jurors in New York City this hour are going to hear opening arguments in former President Trump's hush money trial, with both sides expected to lay out the bare bones of their case. ABC's Aaron Katursky outside the courthouse in Manhattan.
Each side is expected to go about an hour, and we expect prosecutors to lay out what they consider to be the original election interference case against former President Trump. And the defense is expected to say there was no crime here. The expense was paid by Michael Cohen, who was then the former president's attorney. Trump reimbursed him. It was logged as a legal expense, which is what it was, they say.
Vice President Kamala Harris will be in La Crosse today. She's been traveling the country with her Fight for Reproductive Freedoms tour, says Wisconsin faces the same issues seen nationwide when it comes to abortion.
In Wisconsin, you have a law from the 1800s that some extremists want to try and enforce also, right? So I think that it's, that when we look at this issue, we know that it's something that everybody is going to pay attention to.
It'll be Harris's third trip to Wisconsin this year. Supreme Court hearing arguments today over whether homeless people can be cited for camping on public property. At the center of the case is the Oregon city of Grants Pass, which has been enforcing ordinances that ban camping in city parks and on public property. Home prices in Wisconsin are going up.
Partners at TMJ4 News reporting data that shows rental prices in Wisconsin up 20% over the last 5 years, and home sale prices going up roughly 50%. The median cost of a home in 2017 was below $173,000. In 2022, the median price was $265,000, and incomes only grew 19% during that time. Jack Grau, WTMJ News.
News is sponsored by Holiday Automotive at Highway 23 in Fond du Lac. Holiday Automotive, it's worth the trip. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 112 points. NASDAQ up 117. The S&P 500 is up 27. It's a great time for your retirement and investment strategy review from a fee-only fiduciary. Go to annexwealth.com. Click the Get Started button now. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:05.
Greg Matzik here for Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac. Hey, Holiday opened its doors to Wisconsin drivers back in 1959 as a trusted place to buy and service a vehicle powered by a team of caring individuals. 65 years later, that tradition proudly lives on. Connect with Holiday and join the celebration during their 65th anniversary sale. Explore all that's new from Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC, or check out the terrific value and peace of mind benefits of a GM-certified pre-owned model. Team Holiday's genuine hospitality and passion for helping and delighting guests has been making fans of Badger State drivers for over 6 decades. Well, that's a lot of fans, and I'm one of them. You'll be in great hands with Wisconsin's #1 Buick and GMC dealer on your side. Accolades are per 2023 Buick and GMC Zone sales records. Find yours and discover the difference at Holiday Chevrolet, Buick and GMC, Highway 41 and 23 in Fond du Lac, and at holidaygm.com. It's worth the trip.
There are surgeons lining up to be the one to do your joint replacement. But my advice? Exhaust all your options and put off joint replacement as long as you can. Make it your very last resort, because life after joint replacement isn't always what it's cracked up to be. As high as 30% of patients who have undergone joint replacement surgery report unsatisfactory results. And the cost, even with insurance, can be extraordinary. At Rejuvenex, we'll help ease your pain and improve your mobility with FDA-approved pharmacological treatments that precisely target where your pain lives. And by easing your pain and inflammation, we'll help you live a better life. And because we're in network with most major insurance plans, your out-of-pocket expense could be very affordable, or nothing at all. This is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics, where we can alleviate your pain and rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. The Bucks have more than just a playoff win to celebrate today.
Forward Bobby Portis is officially a finalist for the 6th Man of the Year award, something he told WTMJ he's been chasing most of his NBA career.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that would mean to you to bring it home?
I mean, it would mean the world, man. I feel like I played my role to the T. I'm more trying to stay focused on this series, but it would mean the world for sure. I've been talking about it since I was like 22, bro, and and they weren't even realistic then.
Portis finished third in voting last year and has been even more efficient this season. At Fiserv Forum, Dylan Hunter Carter, WTMJ Sports.
Bucks lead their first-round playoff series 1-0 after beating the Pacers 109-94 at Fiserv Forum Sunday night. Game 2 tomorrow night. You can hear it here on WTMJ Radio. Brewers earned a series sweep over the Cardinals following a 2-0 shutout victory in the finale from St. Louis. Brew Crew visit the Pirates tonight for the first of 4 games. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. A little bit of slowing construction zones. I-43 southbound Brown Deer Road to downtown. Also I-894 westbound, the Mitchell interchange to the Hale interchange.
Traffic is sponsored by TaybackAttorneys.com. Veterans benefits denied? Call Tayback for the payback. Brave Americans who served shouldn't be denied benefits or have a disability claim incorrectly evaluated by the VA. If you're one of those vets, call Tayback for the payback. TaybackAttorneys.com.
Here's your Storm Team 4 5-day forecast. Partly sunny skies this afternoon, breezy conditions, high 65, maybe an isolated evening shower, overnight low 51. Afternoon rain and storms tomorrow with a high of 67, then mostly sunny Wednesday, cooler, breezy, highs 44 to 51. Thursday, maybe some frost in the morning, then sunshine, highs 53 to 60, and a chance of rain again on Friday, breezy with a high of 60. Madison at 50, Green Bay 53, Milwaukee 54 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 9:09.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's good to be back after about a week and a half. Thanks to Tracy Johnson, I should say, for filling in. Monday is all about journalism and reporting and covering politics. He's here every other week from CBS 58. Great reporter, AJ Bayatpour. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Steve, welcome back to the U.S.
Yes.
Good to have you back. It feels a little weird. Normally I have somebody at my side.
Right.
It's been married the last couple times, but right now I'm flying solo, but only for the first half of the show, is my understanding.
Yeah, because then Craig Gilbert's going to join us on the phone. I don't know where he's at, but he's going to talk to us about the Hovde-Baldwin race. I wanted to start with this with you. Sort of a contentious, I read about this when I got back. The MPS board meeting Thursday. A little crazy, a little amped up. We had Judge Lena Taylor was there. We had some citizens who were very vocal. Give us a sense of what that was like and what was talked about.
Yeah, well, when you look at the agenda for this meeting, the one thing that seemed to be of interest was this idea of one of the committees, how often it would meet. There's the Parents and Community Engagement Committee, and one recommendation the board was considering was having this committee meet every 2 months instead of monthly, and people showed up and they were fired up about that. But as you heard more of the speeches, it was clear that people had a message, hey, don't discipline one of the board directors, Aisha Carr. She's been one of the most outspoken critics of the district. She's criticized other members of the board.
Also opposed the
referendum.
Yep.
But she's in a little bit of hot water herself. Now, there's no on-the-record confirmation that when the board went into closed session, we just know that they went in to discuss possible discipline and a possible investigation into the conduct of a member. What we've gathered is it's Aisha Carr who they're investigating. Another person, a former district employee, Debbie Keither, she talked to us, and she has turned over this recording that she had of a conversation at some point last year with Aisha Carr. And in this recording, Carr says, I put a recording device in Superintendent Keith Posley's office. So you have this layer here. That's a possible investigation. There are questions about whether Carr moved into her district after the election and is actually living in the district which she represents. So there are multiple fronts where Aisha Carr, this outspoken critic of the district, now finds herself in hot water. But because she's been such an outspoken critic of the district, she kind of has this following from folks. So you had a lot of people turning out for this meeting to say, hey, don't go after her. There's a sense among her supporters that she's facing retaliation for being such an outspoken critic. At the same time, the recording. She did say on this that she planted a recording device in the superintendent's office, which would be illegal. When I asked her about that, she said, well, I did say that, but I didn't actually do it. I just said it to kind of set a trap for this other person, Debbie Keither, who is also suing the district as a former employee. So you have so many layers to this. She is saying, it'd be like saying, Steve, I killed someone, but I didn't actually kill someone. I just told you that I did to see if you would turn me in. It's a very, very bizarre situation.
What do we think her motivation is for the really aggressive stance she's taken against MPS?
From what I gather, I think that she and a lot of other people in the city have some serious questions about how the board has operated, how the district has operated. But if she's actually putting a recording device in the superintendent's office, obviously that would be unacceptable if that really did happen. And I'm not sure just how far down that hole the board has gotten in terms of that investigation. But her stance is we're failing too many of our kids, basically. She alleges that there's mismanagement of money. And there are a lot of people who agree that MPS has to do things differently. And you're going to see more contention in the weeks to come because next month the district's going to start talking about its budget. And I just want to flag this now for everyone. There's going to be cuts coming because even though this referendum passed, that money is phased in over multiple years. So there's not enough money coming in next year to close this gap. There won't be as many cuts as there otherwise would have been, but there's going to be some cuts. And one of the things that already has been eliminated was a number of trauma specialists in the 53206 zip code. And that was something that people were also mad about at Thursday's meeting, saying, look, you raised our taxes, and now you're cutting these interventionists in a part of the city where they really need that type of extra support. So I think you're going to see more and more frustration as we get into this budget conversation. So that's going to be something that we're going to be watching as that really picks up steam next month.
Bottom line is the passing the referendum didn't assuage all of the fears and concerns that people have about MPS.
Right.
Hey, real quick before the break, I'll tee this up for you. We'll take a quick break here. The other part of that meeting was a challenge to the board president Marva Herndon by some of the members of the audience who were very, very demonstrative and vocal. And in one case, I think the gentleman's name was Jamel Harris.
Yes.
He went after her in a very, very loud way. We'll discuss that with our guest, AJ Bayatpour, CBS 58 reporter. It's the Political Power Hour, Monday edition, right here on WTMJ.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday afternoon at 1. Creative Planning is a wealth management firm that believes in a total approach to building wealth that includes taxes, insurance, estate planning, and other personalized elements. This approach allows you to receive advice that is aligned with your unique goals and always in your best interests. Why not give your wealth a second look? Visit creativeplanning.com.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for the Bath Authority. If your bath or shower is outdated, you got to call my friends at the Bath Authority. We did that, Kathy and I. And we are going to have our tub and shower replaced with a brand new one. It's going to look fantastic, whether it's walk-in tubs, which is what we're going to get, replacement showers, tub-to-shower conversions. All Bath Authority products are 100% made in the United States and can be installed in as little as 1 day. Call today. I'll give you the number twice, 414-249-6934. 414-249-6934. Schedule your free in-home estimate today. Get $1,000 off your new shower or bath. Plus, if you need it, 36 months of interest-free financing. TheBathAuthority.com. TheBathAuthority.com. A better bath awaits.
When your car or truck needs service, you should take it to a specialist. I'm Jim Token, president of the Auto Dealers Association of Metro Milwaukee. At a member, new car dealers have factory-warranted parts, the latest diagnostic equipment, and certified manufacturer technicians. Plus, their prices are as low or lower than independent shops, even on routine things like oil changes and tire service. Knowing all that, why would you ever consider going anywhere other than an Adam member dealer?
Beautify your entertainment space with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Hi, this is Gina Della from Pella. Turn your ordinary space into something extraordinary with brand new Pella windows. Plus, getting the perfect windows and doors for your home has never been easier. Right now, get 0% interest for up to 36 months, or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months if you book before April 30th. Take ownership of your living space and make it a place worth living with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Getting back in the groove on Monday's edition of the Political Power Hour. My guest is here every other week from CBS 58, great reporter AJ Bayatpour. We're talking about MPS, the meeting last week. The other piece that I noticed just watching some of the video was very angry constituents, people who were in attendance, including a gentleman who was very, very upset with the board president. What was the reasoning there? What was the motivation to be that angry? I mean, it was pretty glaring that this individual was not happy with the current structure, some of the things happening at MPS, even though he admitted, at least on the video I saw, that his kids they had done well. They were, I think he used the term privileged.
Yes.
What was his beef?
Well, one of the things that he pointed out was this elimination of the trauma specialists in the 53206 zip code, which is, notoriously one of the poorest parts of the city. So his point was, I have 2 kids in MPS. They go to 2 of the better schools in the district, McDowell Montessori and Rufus King. And the thing he kept saying was, they're privileged. They go to good schools. What about these other kids? One of the issues that he's raising is, well, you're eliminating support in an area where that support is most needed. So he's very angry about that. He ended up calling the board president, Marva Herndon, incapable.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned into a whole thing where eventually his mic got cut. He's escorted away from the podium. The board goes into recess. So that was probably the climax of the chaos at that meeting. They went into recess for a bit, and then when they came back out, that was when former longtime state senator, now Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Lena Taylor then spoke, and she defended board director Aisha Carr, saying she is one of the people here that's trying to think outside the box, trying to do things different. Don't come down on her, basically.
Now, the interesting thing about this is, when I'm looking at the text line, I'm reading responses from people that talk about MPS. There are people that are still upset that the referendum passed, and it passed narrowly, right? Was it 51-49? I predicted it would fail narrowly. I was wrong, but it did pass. You mentioned correctly that it's phased in, so there's no immediate fix. Somewhat different than the situation with the county and the city with the shared revenue bill. Right. That flipped the script completely. That didn't happen with MPS. So when you see a judge, Lena Taylor, or individuals who are saying to MPS directly at these meetings, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing here, which is educating kids. Is this going to be the sort of the template for conversation about MPS for the next year or two or beyond that?
Well, hopefully 2 years from now, enough of that money is phased in so we're not having this conversation. The hope would be that just this upcoming budget is going to be the one where you have to make some patches and you have to make some cuts to get even. Hopefully enough money is phased in. There should be by the second year that you're not looking at having to make cuts and have that difficult conversation. But I think that there should be ideally momentum coming off of this referendum, that enough people are gathering around the table and talking about education in the city. Not to oversimplify it, but the reality of the educational landscape in the city right now is you do have some very good MPS schools, but you have some ones that have performance that can only be described as abysmal right now. But the answer isn't necessarily we'll have more voucher. You have great voucher schools, great charter schools in the city, but you also have some really bad voucher schools and charter schools in the city. I think that when you talk to people on the statewide level about the state of education, I was talking to Dan Rossmiller, he's the director of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. He said at the end of the day, one of the best predictors of how students are going to do is what is the income level of their home? What is their parents' educational level? So I think that there has to be going forward kind of a holistic approach to improving these educational outcomes in the city and not just pitting, well, it's public schools and nothing else, or the solution is just more voucher schools. It's somewhere in the middle. And people, if they want to just be firmly encamped in one side or the other, we're not going to get anywhere.
Keith Posley, I didn't see most of his comments after the referendum passed because that was when I was leaving the country. What has been his public stance post-election on the referendum?
He had a tone that was more to the effect of, I realize that when, as you said, 49% of the city was against this, a great analysis by John Johnson at Marquette University found that the areas in Milwaukee that have fewer households with kids were more likely to support this. The wards with more households that have kids were more likely to be against the referendum. So make of that what you will. But I think that, Posley, at least in his public comments, seemed to realize we're going to have to work with people who did not want this referendum to pass. That he seemed to realize that this was not a wave your hands and be triumphant type moment. This thing barely passed when I believe it was 77% that voted yes to their last referendum in 2020. So to go from 77 support to 51%, there seemed to be, at least in his public comments, a realization that you're going to have to win some people over here moving forward and make sure that those people do have a seat at the table who are critical of this referendum.
And to be fair to MPS, they're not the only school district chasing referendums. There was a big number in the last election with limited success. Some of them didn't pass, some passed. But, I mean, this reality, and if you pay attention to school district information, the need for operational referendums is something that's on everybody's radar.
Yeah.
From MPS to some of the most affluent school districts in the state, they're all looking at the same thing. They argue, of course, and you've covered this for a long time, that the structure of how we fund schools is severely flawed.
Right.
What does your reporting show in that area?
When I talked to the Association of School Boards, and I also went to Greendale, and I talked to the superintendent there, and I asked, if one thing could change, what would it be? And the response from both the School Boards Association and in this one suburban district in Greendale, it was, we need to go back to tying the revenue limits to inflation. These revenue limits first were instituted in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. Then in 2009, under former Governor Doyle, it stopped being indexed to inflation. When inflation was normal, so to speak, around 2 or 3%, districts were able to make do.
Yeah, not a big impact.
But when inflation spiked a couple years ago, now it's a big problem. And that's why you're seeing more than 100 referendum questions between the February and April ballots. 2022, 2 years ago, was the most referendum questions statewide since 2000, according to the Policy Forums research. And now we're on pace to break that based on what happened in the spring cycle. It's a pretty safe bet to say there's going to be dozens more district referendums on the ballot in November.
I encourage anybody who wants an in-depth analysis of the state of MPS referendum now that it's passed and what's in it, and referendums in general. Wisconsin Policy Forum, Rob Henkin and his folks do a fantastic job. You can check out their website. I'll pull it up during the break, and I'll give it to you after. AJ Bayatpour, our guest on the Monday edition of Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Got the bottom of the hour news coming up. Then we got Craig Gilbert, who will join us talking about the Hovde-Baldwin race. To be fair, I can say it the Baldwin-Hovde race. I want to play favorites. We will discuss that with him after the bottom of the hour news. You're listening, of course, to the Political Power Hour on WTMJ.
Nearing retirement? Are you best prepared for your post-workforce life? Have all of your questions answered in Annex Wealth Management's latest webinar, Understanding Your Pension Potential. WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi, along with Annex Wealth Management Financial Planning Team Manager Eric Strom, will cover every angle of retirement and how to best set yourself up for a successful and fruitful retirement. Sign up for this free webinar at WTMJ.com. It's the Annex Wealth Management's Pension Potential webinar, only offered here on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi. For Advent, I had snoring issues, tossing and turning, lots of restless nights of sleep. My poor wife, Kathy, had to deal with all that. No longer. Another great night of sleep last night. To put it simply, my nose wasn't working properly. They fixed it after a quick 30-minute visit, put me at ease. We did a really simple sleep study at home in my own bed. They determined my problem, sinuses, nasal passages, breathing triangle is the official term. And after a short procedure, like I said, 30 minutes or less, I'm back to breathing better than ever, sleeping through the whole night. Fantastic sleep. That should be your goal. If you struggle like we did, take the time to see how Advent can help you to find out breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better and your life better, I should add. Go to AdventKnows.com, schedule an appointment today, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
One of the best things about being in business for 25 years is having clients recommend Accunet to their now adult children for help buying their first homes. That's how I connected with Dan and Allison, and let me tell you, they were fast learners. They quickly embraced our most powerful tool for winning offers, Appraisal Wiggle Room. Their first offer was $15,000 over asking and included a provision which Accunet guaranteed they could afford to make, that they would still pay the higher offer price even if the appraised value came in up to $15,000 short. The result? accepted offer versus several others on the very first try. And by the way, if the appraisal had come in $15,000 short, which it did not, Dan and Allison would have needed exactly $0 extra at the closing table. If you think all mortgage lenders are the same, think again. Go with a multi-generation mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
We'll have the latest from ABC and our local news coming up in about a minute or so, but AJ Bayatpour is in studio on this Monday edition of the Political Power Hour. You're going to actually join me, stick around and join me on the podcast, which we will publish on Wednesday. Decision Wisconsin podcast this is the way I look at it. We look a couple things. One, the big national stories in politics, the Trump trials and all that stuff. But I have a little piece called The Reporter's Notebook. You're going to be part of that, where I ask the Rich Kirchens of the world, the Charles Bensons, the Matt Smiths, the A.J. Bayatpours, how you frame the next, let's say the rest of the year when it comes to politics and how you do your job. Give me the quick answer. What are you looking at?
Well, you have these two big races, right? At the end of the day, the things that are going to drive us, we have the RNC coming to the city. You have a presidential election that Wisconsin can well decide, and then Craig's going to be coming on, Craig Gilbert.
Yeah.
The Senate race is fascinating. I mean, you have a close race according to the polling. Eric Hovde is putting a lot of his own money into this, so and there's not going to be a crowded primary on the Republican side. So that Senate race, the more I look at it, the more fascinated I am by what's shaping up to be what could well be a very competitive Senate contest.
Real quick, I only got about 20 seconds. I'm both geeked up about the race, but also a little bit like, this could be ugly. How do you look at it?
I think that, it's going to get ugly. That's how elections are now. And as you talk about the reporter notebook side of it, it's just being a matter of just kind of cutting through the spin. You just have to know that you're going to try to get spun one way or the other and just work through it.
All right, I promised I would look it up, the website for Wisconsin Policy Forum, wispolicyforum.org. Here's the latest local news and the latest from ABC. I'm already out of practice. I got 10 seconds left. Here is the latest local news. Who do we have? Connie Weber today? Do we have Connie Weber? Yes, the outstanding Connie Weber. Latest from ABC. Here we go.
This is a special report from ABC News. Trump trial underway. The judge in former President Donald Trump's criminal hush money case has ruled that if Trump takes the stand, prosecutors can question him about a number of previous legal issues. Here's ABC's John Santucci with more on what that could mean.
Think about all the cases Donald Trump has gone through up until this moment, the two E. Jean Carroll cases, etc. All of that can come up in court. And talking about where Donald Trump, of course, violated the gag order in some of those proceedings, being the Attorney General's case, and was hit with fines, etc.
Trump had sought to block all questions about other legal issues if he testified. The first witness is expected to be former National Enquirer editor David Pecker, and at some point, Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen will speak. Trump's team likely to try to discredit him.
They're going to say he is a liar, he is a fraud, he is a committed perjurer, and he is the key to their case, and you cannot trust his credibility.
That's ABC News. Chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Carl. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 9:31. Two deadly crashes last week, both involving buses and within 48 hours of each other. One Saturday, a vehicle traveling south on 35th Street hit a Milwaukee County bus on Wisconsin Avenue. One person in the vehicle killed, driver arrested. Thursday, a vehicle ran a red light westbound on Capitol Drive, hit a bus going north on 35th Street. Driver of the vehicle was killed. Shootout at 29th and Galena yesterday sent two people to the hospital. Those two, ages 36 and 38, went to the hospital for treatment, then went to jail. Vice President Kamala Harris back in Wisconsin today, her third trip to the state this year. She'll visit La Crosse as part of her Fight for Reproductive Freedoms tour. Time for some news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 92 points, 38,078. NASDAQ up 37 at 15,321. And the S&P 500 up 14 points, 4,981. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite Financial Planning at every level. Details at annexwealth.com. Take a look at your roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. Couple of broken down vehicles, actually just one right now. The right shoulder blocked due to a disabled vehicle, I-41 north at 7 Mile Road. There was one just a little bit, less than a half a mile beyond the ramp from Drexel Avenue. That disabled vehicle has been cleared from the shoulder. The WTMJ 5-day forecast. Look for some filtered sunshine this afternoon. Breezy, high 65. Maybe an isolated evening shower. Overnight low 51. Partly cloudy tomorrow. Scattered afternoon showers with a high 67. Temperatures falling in the evening. Wednesday sunny, cooler, breezy. Highs 44 to 51. Morning frost Thursday. Then sunny with highs 53 to 60. And a chance of rain and storms on Friday. Breezy with a high of 60. Madison at 50. Green Bay 53. Milwaukee 54 degrees. I'm Connie Weber. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:33.
This is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi. A few years ago when my shed was struck by lightning and burned down in my backyard, I wish I knew Jeff and Jake at Loyal Family Renovations. If your home has suffered storm damage, don't stress any longer. Loyal Family provides free damage inspections. They also treat their customers like their family and treat every project as if they're working on their own home. Loyal Family is family-owned, and their loyalty belongs to their customers. Contact them today to help make your home remodeling dreams a reality. LoyalFamilyRenovations.com.
Outdoor Living Unlimited turns yards into patios and decks, fire pits, pavers, retaining walls, even screen rooms, outdoor kitchens, and swimming pools. Come see it all at the unique outside-in Gerke's Corner showroom they share with Siding Unlimited at their open house this Saturday from 8 to 1. Bring your ideas, motivation, and questions to the product reps at the open house and meet the Outdoor Living Unlimited team. Check sidingunlimited.com and outdoorlivingunlimited.com and then get to the open house this Saturday from 8 to 1.
Hugs from patients, like Patrick from here in Milwaukee. It's something QC Kinetics medical professionals experience every day.
I hugged them. You should hug somebody who does that for you. They gave me my life back, and I really didn't know where I was going to go because I was definitely afraid of having a knee replacement done.
No surgery, no downtime with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. They give patients relief from joint pain using their own healing properties to repair and restore damaged tissue. And the results? Well, that's why we see a lot of hugs at QC Kinetics.
Everything is back that I thought I was never going to be able to do again. I'm still smiling, and sometimes it gets emotional. I get a tear in my eye because of how I was before I went in there.
Those smiles and hugs never get old at QC Kinetics. It means patients are finally getting relief. And now it's your turn. Call QC Kinetics today for your free consultation and see if you're a good candidate for these amazing treatments.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
All right, I'll get my timing back. First day back from vacation. I was in Europe, for Pete's sakes. Give me some love. All right, AJ Byport joining us in studio. We're talking politics, of course, with journalists on Monday. That's our regular theme of the Monday shows in the Political Power Hour. We've got a great one coming up next. He's a reporter, political analyst, I should say, for the Marquette University Law School's Lubar Center for Public Policy Research. He spent many, many years at the Journal Sentinel. Craig Gilbert joins us on the Tri-County Contracting Hotline. Good morning, Craig.
Hey, it's great to be with you. Welcome back.
Absolutely good to be back. So the piece, I just read it this morning, fresh in my mind on the Hovde-Baldwin race. Some interesting historical perspective. Lay some of this stuff out for us.
Yeah, so just to put her standing in perspective, I mean, Ron Johnson, her fellow Republican senator, faced re-election 2 years ago. Her polling numbers are better than his. He was kind of underwater. He had higher negatives. On paper, that makes her less vulnerable and probably not as big a target as Johnson was, who went on to win re-election. But another difference is that, Johnson didn't have the problem of sharing a ticket with an incumbent president in his party with negative job ratings. And so that's sort of the challenge for Baldwin in this cycle is, the sort of the Joe Biden effect. And she's been running ahead of him in the polling, and she outperformed Tony Evers in her last reelection campaign. So we'll have to see if she can do that again.
One of the big takeaways from your piece in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, which was published this morning, is the unfavorability of the incumbent president. There's a historical perspective on that issue as well.
Yeah, so if you're an incumbent senator and you're in the out party, which means you're not in the party that occupies the White House, you almost never lose. But if you're not, if you're in the in party, then it's a little dicier. Incumbents are still kind of advantaged, but the last, 3 incumbent senators in Wisconsin to lose, going back over, 50 odd years, have all been in this situation of sharing the party of the president and having a sitting president with negative approval ratings. So that's always kind of a danger for incumbents who are otherwise typically, insulated from vulnerability.
Craig, I'd be curious to know what your read is on how much of a role ticket splitters could end up playing here, because we saw just 2 years ago in the midterm, Governor Evers was reelected, but so was Senator Johnson, despite those high unfavorability ratings. So you have to have at least some ticket splitters there. What is your read on the role they'll play this time around, the number of people who could potentially be voting for Donald Trump and Tammy Baldwin?
Yeah, I mean, they could absolutely be critical, even though there's a lot less ticket splitting than there was 20, 30, 40 years ago. Wisconsin's so evenly divided that, it can always happen the way it happened in the election you're alluding to 2 years ago, where you have different outcomes at the top of the ticket. It's rare, but in a close state, it can absolutely happen. So I think we can say with confidence that, a high likelihood that the presidential race is going to be really close, could go either way. So if you're Tammy Baldwin, you obviously it's important to run ahead of Joe Biden so that, you're not on a knife edge politically.
One of the things I also took away was the fact that for Senator Baldwin, her favorability rating is as high as it's ever been in Marquette Law School polling. So that number is interesting.
It is, and it's partly a function of the fact that she's just better known. I mean, for parts of her career, her name ID has not been anything like universal. I mean, that's not surprising for U.S. senators. So she's got a 47% favorable rating, meaning 47% of registered voters view her favorably, and that's the number you were talking about, where it's been as high, but it's never been higher than that. She also has a 42% negative rating, and that's higher than average too, but it's a net positive. And if you compare that, for example, to Ron Johnson, he's been running really over the past few years underwater. He was in the same poll where Tammy Baldwin was about 5 points more positive than negative. He was about 12 points more negative than positive. So there's a real difference in her polling and his polling, which is, should be encouraging for her.
The other little nugget that I found fascinating, Republican voters, 14% of those voters had a favorable impression of Senator Baldwin. I think that speaks to some of the popularity she has, at least in her previous two elections and perhaps in this one.
Yeah, she has run, if you look at the voting patterns in Wisconsin, she has been more competitive in Republican areas of the state, especially rural areas of the state, northern, central, western Wisconsin, where Democrats have really collapsed in their support. She's been more competitive than other Democrats. And I think the polling is sort of consistent with that. 14% isn't a lot, but in a very polarized state, at a very polarized age, that's pretty decent. And I think something similar has been going on with Tony Evers, the Democratic governor, where he continues to get sort of positive ratings in part because, some measurable minority of Republicans are giving him decent marks.
Craig, one thing that the last couple rounds of Marquette polls has shown is that the two most important issues to voters at this moment seem to be economy and the border. If that holds, how much harder is it going to be for someone like Senator Baldwin to run ahead of the president if that's what it has to happen in order for her to win?
Yeah, so I think those are potential drags on her in this election. And that's one reason why, even though she's running against an opponent, Eric Hubsey, who's not particularly well known, and he will, be under fire from the Baldwin campaign and from Democratic groups throughout this campaign. But he has the ability to a large degree to self-finance. So he'll have an advantage that some of Baldwin's past opponents didn't have. So, yeah, those are potential vulnerabilities for her because those are issues, that you think of as being more helpful to Republicans than Democrats right now. The economy is the big one, and the economy is obviously a very mixed bag. But right now, Joe Biden's getting poor marks on the economy. He's getting worse marks. People are saying, Donald Trump would do a better job of the economy than Joe Biden. So that's a problem for Joe Biden, and it could be a problem for other Democrats on the ticket.
Just from someone who covers politics like you do and like I do, the interesting point you made about the self-funding, he's not going to be able to outspend Tammy Baldwin. There's going to be a lot of dollars coming into the state for her from all kinds of different sources.
Yeah, I think the expectation for her and for Democrats in a lot of these Senate races across the country is there's just going to be more money on the Democratic side. So his ability to self-finance probably doesn't even or level the playing field, but it prevents him from getting sort of blown out financially, like maybe some other candidates would if they didn't have their own resources. She'll be very well funded, and she, outspent and outraised significantly her opponent 6 years ago. But the fact that he doesn't have a serious opponent in the primary, and the fact that he can self-fund to some degree, should make him, competitive enough financially.
Yeah, what is the biggest advantage in your view of Hovde not having to go through a primary process? Because in 2018, you noted Leah Vukmir had to survive a primary. Tommy Thompson had a competitive primary in the 2012 race. Tim Michaels came on late, won the primary in 2022. The fact that Eric Hovde is going right on to the general election, what is the biggest advantage that provides him?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen cases in the past where, contested primaries, the winner would kind of boomerang out of there and carry momentum into a general election. But I think we've seen more cases of what you're talking about, which is the opposite, where, you end up spending all your time and money trying to win a primary, and now our primaries are pretty late in the process. And then suddenly, when Tammy Baldwin ran against Tommy Thompson in 2012, he got blown out of the water financially right after winning a tough, contested, and even a divisive primary. And so you're spared the divisiveness of a primary, and you don't have to, and you can focus all your time and energy on your general election opponent. And so I think that's a positive for Hovde.
Craig Gilbert, 35 years at the Journal-Sentinel, last 25 in the Washington Bureau, and an analyst for politics with the Marquette University Law School's Lubar Center for Public Policy Research and Civic Education. I know you got a busy day. Thanks for taking the time, Craig.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right, we'll take a break here. AJ Fiadpour, yours truly, Steve Scaffidi, back from vacation. Still screwing up, but I'll fix that. I'm going to get better throughout the week. Trust me on that. Political Power Hour, Monday edition, WTMJ.
All you have is one chance after an accident, one decision on who to call, one shot to get the help you need. Don't waste it on the one offer you get from your insurance company. Make the one call to Gruber Law Offices. It's the only one you'll need to make. Call us today. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Adair Floors and Remodeling. Kathy and I had our basement landing area redone by Adair. They did a fantastic job. It looks fantastic. There's some pictures on social media I can share with you if you'd like. They are located on South 27th Street in Franklin, and they've been in business for 65 years. They did my kitchen floor. Still looks fantastic 20 years ago. Rob, the owner, was surprised it looked that good, but I wasn't, because I've worked with Adair. They have a design team that we worked with, ready to help with all your flooring and remodeling needs, home or business, family owned and operated right there in Franklin. Stop in, tell them Scaffidi sent you, or visit them online, adairfloors.com.
Dan, do you know there's a way to fit more in your closet without spring cleaning?
Of course. You just close the door really fast.
No, you call us at Inspired Closets. Depending on your space, we can easily double your storage.
Won't people think that's expensive?
Not with us. Other closet companies over-design projects, driving up the cost. Inspired Closets gives clients 3 designs, allowing us to find the price point they are comfortable with.
And our true lifetime warranty. Visit us at InspiredClosetsMilwaukee.com.
A wife and husband team.
All Brewers games are on sale now. Coming up, a weekend showdown with the Yankees, Friday, April 26th through Sunday, the 28th. Start the series with Friday's hockey night. Then take home a limited edition Brewers City Connect Tumbler Cup at the game on Saturday, the 27th. Presented by Quick Trip. Don't miss out on a marquee weekend of baseball. Grab your seats at brewers.com/tickets.
The historic Fox and Hound Supper Club is hiring expo and food runners. It's a perfect job for high school and college students. You'll make great cash. Parents and grandparents, tell your kids, inquire today. Start next week. Visit foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. It's the Fox and Hounds.
I'll say it again. Our mission is to protect and uphold our reputation. And what that means is wherever we go, we make it better for those in need of our services and the great people we have working with us. Our reputation matters. It matters to us, and it should matter to you. We believe that operating with integrity will set us apart from our competitors, and that this attracts people to us that share these same values. I say this because I want you to know when you work with Semper Fi, character counts. It's why you can count on the industry's hands-down best lifetime workmanship warranty that now includes free annual inspections. And it's why we always have one project manager per job, which is absolutely not the industry standard. When you're paying for a brand new roof to go on what's likely the biggest investment you have, you want it done right, and you want to be able to count on the people doing it. This is Brad Youngworth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company.
Keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
All right, I'm getting the hang of it now after I'm back from my long time out. Thanks to Tracy Johnson for filling in. She's a great guest. And some of our regular guests that we usually have on the Political Power Hour. Thanks for tuning in as always. AJ Bayatpour, great reporter at CBS 58 in Milwaukee. And all right, so this one, we were talking about this before the show. A survey from Georgetown University looking at people's belief in our democracy and probably more significantly, whether that democracy is threatened. Political violence plays into this. 81% of voters believe democracy is threatened. I share their concern.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this poll was, so Georgetown organized it, but the actual commissioning of the survey was a tandem effort by a Republican pollster and a Democratic pollster firm.
One of each.
They teamed up, and they were asking these questions. One, big headline is 81% of people said they believe democracy is at least somewhat under threat. Some are even more concerned. But what also really stood out to me was only 23%, it was like 22.5%, said they're not worried at all about the possibility of violence after the election. That means more than 75% of voters are at least somewhat concerned that there will be violence after this election.
You and I both cover politics. You do it on TV, I do it on the radio, and I also podcast about it. And you're going to be our podcast guest this week. Wednesday is going to publish looking at this year in politics. But I get the sense, and I'm curious what you think, that when I talk to people, whether it's over the text line, whether it's over the phone when I used to take more calls, or even in person at events, whatever, public events, sometimes just in a restaurant, there seems to be this mindset that, well, government's not doing the people's business. There has to be some fundamental pivot to change things. And in my opinion, I hope that pivot is not violence. Now, we saw a little bit, of course, with January 6, 2021, where that crossed over into that reality, one I never expected as someone who covered politics. Could we be looking at that scenario, for example, with our convention here in Milwaukee? Hope not. Or in the aftermath of whatever happens in November. That is a real, and this survey suggests, a real concern among most Americans.
Well, and that's where you have these different pockets where there could potentially be a source of violence. I mean, you have the election-denying faction on the far right that you would worry about violence there. Potentially on the far left, you have leftist groups that have said, we plan on causing disruptions at the DNC in Chicago this summer.
Yeah, they want to get close as possible.
Yeah, we want to get close. And we, like the far fringe groups there are even saying, like, we want you to come down and take a beating from the Chicago police to make a statement because they're coming after Biden in the White House on the Gaza issue. So you have extremists from different elements, and you add it up, and there's reason to be concerned.
You've covered politics for a while. Do you sense a change in the tone you were just at the school board meeting last week, a change in the tone of the people attending the meetings? Is the temperature rising?
Well, in the school board meetings I've gone to, unfortunately, there tends not to be a lot of people there.
Right.
So I guess if anything would be encouraging, mad or otherwise, it's just good that people are showing up to an MPS board meeting and saying something. And that was actually what the board vice president, Jilly Gokul-Gandhi, told me when I interviewed her on Friday. She said, well, yeah, it was contentious, but at the same time, it was the most I've ever seen that auditorium. It was the most full I've ever seen that auditorium since I got elected. So that in and of itself is at least encouraging.
I can wrap it this way. Civil discourse or civil war? We can decide that.
Right.
All of us. We'll take a break here. AJ Bayatpour, Steve Scaffidi, the last segment of the Political Power Hour. Look ahead for the stories that AJ is going to be covering this week. as we wrap the Political Power Hour Monday edition right here on WTMJ.
The biggest names in the basketball world.
Dame Dollar Lillard.
Having fun and honest conversations.
He puts it in the shoe, right? And sets the tone for brothers and sisters and family.
Every week, Thanasis Adetokounmpo sits down with special guests on The Analysis Show. Presented by Potawatomi Casino Hotel and curbless, ready-to-drink cocktails.
Fantastic.
Find The Analysis Show on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And on YouTube by searching The Analysis Show.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Heiser Automotive. You know I love talking about Heiser. I missed my Chevy Equinox. I was out of the country for a week and a half. Got back, drove it. 2023 Chevy Equinox. Perfect all-weather. Certainly the winter and the summer. Great fuel economy. 31 miles per gallon on the highway. 4-cylinder engine. Auto start-stop technology. 6-speed automatic transmission. All the great technology you expect with Chevy. They have the great programs there as well. Roadside assistance for life. How cool is that? How about the exchange program? Don't love it? Exchange it for a vehicle you like. All of the great programs, Safe and Sound program I can include there as well. All available for you. You can go to their 5 great locations, see for yourself in person, or go to Heiser.com. All of their vehicles, new and pre-owned, all available for your perusing online. That's why they say every day at Heiser, today's your day.
Annex Wealth Management, investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning from a fee-only fiduciary. Forget commission sales pitches and financial products you don't need. Know the difference. Annex provides elite, comprehensive financial planning customized to who you are and what you need. AnnexWealth.com.
Vince Vitrano for Absolute Comfort, HVAC and Electrical, joined by Nicole, who along with her husband Brent owns the company. Nicole, why is now a good time to have you out looking at my air conditioner?
Because we want you to get to know us before you have an HVAC or electrical emergency. We will provide maintenance to your AC system so it's ready to operate efficiently on those warm spring days and hot summer nights.
And they are coming. Absolute Comfort, HVAC and Electrical, 262-664-9284, yourcomfortguys.com.
From big tailgate parties to cozy dinners for two, the freshest ideas start with a stop at Century Foods. Now through Wednesday, save on 48-ounce selected varieties Cedar Crust ice cream, $3.99. 4-count selected varieties Chobani multi-packs, 2 for $8. 10 to 12-ounce or 10 to 12-count selected varieties Green Mountain Coffee, $8.49. 64-ounce or 8-pack selected varieties Juicy Juice, 2 for $6.
Hey, why'd you throw my glass across the room?
I have to keep practicing.
The vase from Aunt Sophie?
I'm warming up in case I get to take them out at American Family Field. Read this.
Win the ultimate baseball fan experience at Century Foods?
You either get to throw out the first pitch, hold the finish line for the famous racing sausages, or be on the field during batting practice. My new TV!
Just doing a little batting practice of my own.
The ultimate baseball fan experience. Return the entry form found in the weekly ad to any Century by July 24th.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a good karma brand station.
Remaining moments of the first Political Power Hour post-vacation. Yes, I'm human. I make mistakes. But I am going to overlook that mistake because we had a great guest today, AJ Bayatpour. 2 great guests. Craig Gilbert from the MU. It's got a long name, but he's a fellow at MU. And, of course, a great reporter for the Journal-Sentinel. Stories, AJ, that you're going to be covering this week.
MPS on Tuesday, we will be talking about a vote to move 2 charter schools out of current MPS buildings. On one side,
this could be a big story.
On one side, you have the criticism saying this is MPS once again targeting charters. On the other, the defense of this would be those schools are operating at above capacity. So just realistically, you can't continue this way, would be the other side of the coin.
And right after this hour, AJ is going to join me, sit down. We're going to record the Decision Wisconsin podcast. We'll publish Wednesday. Reporter's Notebook is how I classify these. We talk to local reporters and national reporters. We had Manu Raju from CNN and Miguel Marquez from CNN as well as part of this discussion. That's something we're going to be working on next. The Upswing is next after the news.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
One of the best things about being in business for 25 years is having clients recommend AccuNet to their now adult children for help buying their first homes. That's how I